Hi, everybody. Good afternoon and welcome. We are so timely. It's like one on the dot, and that slide went off. Thanks so much for that. We want to welcome you all and thank you for joining us today for our Ask a Student Anything panel for your summer 2020 orientation. My name is Amy Joa, and I am the Assistant Director of Orientation New Student Programs. I'm thrilled to have all of you join us today. I know that many of you were with us earlier at the financial aid session and are bouncing in to hear directly from, I think, the people who matter most, actually your actual peers, like the other students. Before we get started, I want to go over just a couple logistics. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by my colleague who is on the back end of the chat, handling kind of all the logistics and doing our Q&A, and that's Kylie Kallenberger, the coordinator of Orientation New Student Programs. Kylie, you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our session. As you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and I will go through them with the students here as we go.
Perfect. So as you noticed when you came in, your microphones were muted. We do that just to really help with the background noise. It's so much easier if just one person is talking at a time. Camera is really up to you. I see most folks have them turned off, but it doesn't matter to us. As you join the session today, we have a couple of goals, and one is that you can learn a little bit about some campus resources, hear about some common and transition areas and adjustments for first-year students, and the opportunity to ask students your actual questions that we can answer in like a non-scripted way, right? Things that you're actually curious about. So as you have questions, you can, if you kind of hover towards the bottom where the mute button is, you'll see that there is a chat bubble and it says the word chat on it. You can click on that and send your chats directly to Kylie. So they're not going to go out to the whole group, and Kylie will be able to answer those. If she has any referrals or resources that she'll send out to either you directly or to the whole group, she'll put that in the chat as well. She will go ahead and try her best to get through everybody's questions today. One more thing, if you're actually on mobile and you just go to the participant list and look for the one that says Orientation New Student Programs, and you can chat us directly from that on mobile. It has a little Grizz head avatar there. The last thing is, as you were coming in, you probably got asked to fill out a quick 3-question attendance survey. We're really just trying to capture who's in the room with us today for this particular session. So if you haven't had a chance, please fill that out, and I'm sure she'll throw that in the chat next. All right, so without further ado, the thing I know you're most excited about, I have with me today 3 amazing, phenomenal, I could come up with a million adjectives, but really brilliant OU students who are going to help talk us through some of your question and answers today. I'm going to take a moment to allow them to introduce themselves and let you all see who they are and tell us a little bit about what they've been involved in at OU. So Jill, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Amy, would you mind giving me a thumbs up so I know you can hear me? My mic was not working a little earlier. Thank you. My name's Jill. I'm going to be a junior in the fall. I studied communication with a minor in public relations. I worked in a couple different offices on campus, starting with undergraduate admissions, where you guys apply to. Then I worked for Orientation New Student Programs, which is what you guys are working with right now. And then I also worked for the First Year Advising Center as a student VIAC assistant. So I'm the person who sits in this little lab off to the side, and I can help you guys register for classes. And it's super fun. I love that job. So I worked in tons of different spots on campus. I'm involved in the sorority and Greek life on campus, as well as I'm in a volunteer organization called Alternative Spring Break, where we travel all over the country and do different volunteer trips. You might see my dog behind me a little bit here today. Her name's Charlie. Feel free to send the questions as well about her. She's my most prized possession. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. And I'll pass it over to Coco.
Thank you. Hey everyone. You might see Jennifer like on my screen, but I also go by Coco and everything, and that's one of the things I love about OU. I'm a senior here, so 4 years down, in psychology, and I love it more every single year. I've loved it more every single year. I've worked as a peer mentor and success coach. For the peer mentor, I worked for something or a beautiful office called the Center for Multicultural Initiatives. And for the success coach, I've worked in the First Year Advising Center. So it's awesome. Like I just love really having support all around me and something that you'll be experiencing very shortly. So yeah, I've been also living on campus all 4 years and adore that as well. So that's a little bit about me. Passing it on over to Michael.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michael McNamara. I'm going into my junior year in the fall. I'm studying mechanical engineering. Some things I'm involved with on campus. I'm in the Honors College. I'm a presidential scholar. Much like my colleagues here, I have an on-campus job for orientation new student programs. I was in something called Alternative Spring Break, and I had the opportunity to go to Puerto Rico and volunteer there. That was a lot of fun. And like Coco, I also lived on campus. So if you have any housing questions, please ask away.
Beautiful. Thanks so much for introducing yourselves. I would welcome all of you as students to feel free to start throwing your questions in the chat if you haven't done so already. And you can keep, them going as long as the session goes on. To get us started and kind of get our feet wet, I'm going to throw them a little softball here and ask them to answer for us a question I think is on the minds of many new students and their family members about what is the biggest area of transition that you experience from leaving high school and starting at OU.
All right, well, I'll get started. So I'm a commuting student, so that means I don't live on campus. And so I really wanted, I initially wanted to go away to school and then ended up deciding to go to Oakland because it was closer to home and I wanted to be closer to family. And I was really struggling with independence. When I first started going to Oakland, I felt like it was my 5th year of high school where I was going home and coming to class, and that was really it. I wasn't really making friends. So then I decided to join a sorority to really help out with that. And my experience at Oakland completely changed. But I needed to find something to ground me and keep me on campus a little bit longer in between classes and after classes and on the weekends even. And I just needed something to really grasp my attention in that transition to college. I'll pass to Coco again.
Thank you. So similarly to Jill, I also had a beautiful journey with independence and everything. I come from a very strict family, so I had a car my first year, which was actually a good thing. So don't worry, I didn't go crazy and everything. So we love it though. Oakland really helped me grow as a person, as a student, as an individual overall. I feel like I'm a well-rounded, around the way girl, and everything. And we love that. Everyone, like I mentioned, I think a little bit before, how you are just surrounded by support and all resources that are there to really help you with anything that you might need. So that has made me who I am today. All righty, Michael, what you get?
I'd say the biggest area of transition for me was definitely on more of the academic side. Just getting used to the whole college course load. Because I don't know about you guys, but in high school I was one of the kids that never studied for anything. It all just kind of came super easy to me. But then I got to college and I failed my very first math test because I didn't study for a year. And that was just kind of that slap in the face I needed to realize that yes, this is college now. Instead of going to classes every single day, every weekday, you might only go to a class once or twice a week. And so it puts a lot more pressure on you just to make sure you're staying on top of your studies and stuff like that. Back to you, Amy.
Wonderful. All right. I appreciate you answering kind of that first basic question. I got hot off the press news from Kylie here on the side that our chat is beautifully busy and popping right now. So we're going to pass it on over to Kylie. As you hear questions, feel free to continue to send more. And then just know that whatever we need any additional assistance with, Kylie's going to be able to help hook you up with any resources and opportunity afterwards to continue asking. All right, Kylie.
Okay, so our first question I think could be for any of you, and I'm also going to chime in as well. But the question is, with the pandemic going on and social distancing requirements that are taking place, what will academic tutoring look like? And so for what I can tell you now, tutoring has actually moved very well online. They're doing by appointments, virtual appointments with anybody needing assistance in their classes and needing tutoring. I'm going to put the link in the chat so you guys can see what that looks like, how you would request a tutor in an online virtual setting. But thought maybe our students on the panel could talk about their experience with the tutoring center.
I'll start. I use the tutoring center pretty religiously. I am not great in like I work for my grades very hard. And so I've used the tutoring center almost my entire time at Oakland. And it was really like my second semester of my freshman year where I started really understanding what a tool it could be. And I did even use it when we went on to online classes in the middle of March for my German course so that I could continue getting some extra help there because I was struggling a little bit with that one. So it was really, really helpful for me.
Just one thing I'd like to add on that. It's not necessarily the tutoring center. It's more of a slight branch out for that, but something that I found really, really helpful is something called supplementary instruction for classes. And so that math class that I was talking about that I failed, I was like, all right, I'm going to get my stuff together. And I started going to that supplementary instruction. And then they like help so much because they're students that have already taken these classes, ace them basically. They come back and they just kind of take you to another room and they show you all those like little tips and tricks that your professor might not have time to cover in class. And so I would highly recommend going to those things. I'm not 100% sure what those might look like in an online setting, but once we are back in person, I would definitely utilize those.
And also, like, feel free to like try different people because some might have a style that works better for you than others. So that's also something to keep in mind.
Okay, the next question is, I'm just going to ask, let's go with Jill for this one. What's the best and cheapest way to buy books?
All right, well, so the bookstore actually does price match. So that's a really, really great resource to start with. So what I have done is I've gone to the bookstore and I've done my research. I've made sure I'm someone who's very, very cheap. And so I will make sure that I am getting the best deal. And oftentimes it is at the bookstore. But there are other places like Rent-A-Book or Amazon that you can definitely try out. Just always make sure you're getting the best deal. That's all I can always recommend.
And just very quick side note on that. If you want to, you can wait until the first day of classes before you buy your books. Some professors, they'll say just like straight up, we're not going to be using the book for this class. So that's always an option as well.
Okay, next question is for Coco. What is the best way to manage your time with your new schedule and your outside life?
Yes, so I didn't get super involved until last year, which was my third year, and I needed a Google Calendar. The year before, I tried using a paper planner and stuff, and that worked for me then. But that was before I started becoming more involved, and I needed those like 10-minute notifications, like you need to be here and here. So I highly recommend like putting in everything. For me, I put in like whatever's in my syllabus throughout the entire semester, and like do that maybe like the first week of class. Or so that way, like it's very tedious, but it'll be done for the rest of the year. With deadlines, assignments, and things like that. And then add in like anything from your work schedule. I'm having dinner with a friend at 7 p.m. Put that in there as well, too. So yeah, invest in that is free. Woohoo!
Okay, next question from Michael. Do you prefer online or in-person classes and why?
Personally, I'm someone who much prefers in-person classes. I just really like that personal connection you can have with somebody. It's a little bit hard to mimic that over like in an online setting. So I definitely prefer that in person where I can kind of form a bond with my professor, maybe more closely. And then it really just helps you as well because then they see you more as a person as rather than just like a student, if you will.
Okay, next question for Jill and also Coco. Can you guys tell us about Greek life?
So Greek life is not super huge at Oakland. I would say there's probably less than 500 or 600 students. And to put that into perspective, we have about 20,000 students who do attend Oakland. And so I would say like it's a very close knit, small community, but it's a really, really flourishing and wonderful community. It's very diverse and inclusive, and we have really, really great opportunities for charity and philanthropy work that you're able to be involved in. We have multiple different types of sororities and fraternities. So starting off, I'll talk about the one I'm in. So I am in a National Panhellenic Conference. Sorry, I always get the names mixed up, even though I'm in it. Shame on me. So that includes every single traditional sorority that you may see, the ones that you see online who are really you may see weird videos of them like chanting, like that would be the sororities that we're talking about here. And then there's also Interfraternity Council, which are the fraternities that you would see as well, like you would think of like a traditional fraternity. And then we also do have Divine Nine, or the National Panhellenic Conference. So it's a little bit different, and those are going to be your traditionally African American fraternities and sororities. And we actually have all 9 of those, which is really, really wonderful that Oakland is able to have all of those. We are one of few schools who offers all of those opportunities. We have Greek Council, which oversees all of this, and I am very, very proud to be a part of it. It's a really, really wonderful community, and it's not the same at Oakland as you would see at like a big school. It's very different, I would say.
Okay, the next question is a question that I'm actually going to answer by sending everybody a link, but I also would like all 3 of you to talk about your experience with. So the question is, do you know what day students can move into their residence halls if they're staying on campus? So I actually have the dates from the website. I'm going to put that in the chat, but if you guys could talk about maybe, actually Michael and Coco, if you could talk about your experience moving into the dorm rooms for your freshman year.
Awesome. So it was like my day that I was gonna have freedom, and I just was nothing but great times. I was excited and everything. And then for me, for the program that I was in, I got to meet a little some other people and students coming in as well, which you have this opportunity now too. So get acquainted with all the social media for Oakland University, but. So yeah, like meeting everyone, the RAs were super nice and everything. My RA was very active with us and stuff, and just like getting to know my floor. And my roommate was a friend of mine from since I was 12, so that worked out pretty well for that first year and everything. And it just felt like a brand new beginning that was great. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I mean, much like Coco, moving into the residence halls was a blast. I won't lie, it's a bit hectic those 2 days just because there's so many people going every which way, in and out of elevators and stuff like that. But once you're actually like moved in and everything, I would highly recommend, usually resident assistants, they'll offer like their floor, they'll go on like campus tours basically, where you'll just kind of go and you'll explore campus. I would highly recommend just getting used to the campus, and maybe even exploring it for yourself, just getting to know OU for how beautiful it is.
Okay, next question is for Jill. Is it hard to find a parking space near your class?
Yes and no, and it depends on the day and time. So this is like there's a lot of factors to this question. It really depends on if you're in a high volume area of campus, and I swear to you, you will figure it out very quickly once you get onto the campus where high volume areas are. If you ever took an admissions tour, a lot of times you'll park in like the big parking lot called P1. I would recommend if you're going to be parking there, get to the parking lot a little bit ahead of time for your classes. You're going to want to arrive onto campus anywhere from an hour to 30 minutes ahead of time, just so that you can get yourself a parking spot and make sure that you can walk to class. I've gotten myself into trouble a few times because I live so close. So I'll be like, oh, I can leave really late. And then I get to class late, and it's not a good look for me. So you want to make sure that you're on top of things, especially during the first week or so with classes. I'd recommend getting there a little bit earlier so you know that you're getting a parking spot, you know what you're looking at, because You'll start understanding like exactly when you need to leave your house. If you just give yourself a few more minutes in the morning every single day, I swear that you'll find the parking spot you'd like. But just make sure that you're kind of strategic about it.
Okay, the next question, I'm actually going to ask Amy this question. When do we get our student IDs?
Awesome question. I'm so glad that someone put that in the chat. In case you had maybe heard from previous students, one of the things we used to do when we had a physical online orientation was have students stop by our ID card office, take a photo, get printed, and they would receive it before they left for the end of the day. Obviously, with the challenge of doing virtual orientations, we knew that we had to rethink that question. So we've been working really closely with our ID card office, and unofficially, right? Don't tell anyone. Get me fired. Unofficially, but I think the good news is that's coming out very soon. You should see an update on this in a few weeks. We are actually going to be moving towards a system where students are able to going to be able to have the option to upload their own photo, much like you would when you get your passport picture taken, perhaps with some parameters. So it's not like you in a selfie or something, but some very particular parameters about where against what kind of wall and what part of your face is showing and that sort of thing. And then we are also kind of on the back end working on an opportunity to have students come in small groups to campus in August. And so we know that one of the pieces that we're missing with our true orientation, we've been doing such a fabulous job online. I want to commend all of you for doing that module in the eSpace and going to your academic advising appointment, or maybe you'll have it tomorrow, but you've been really getting engaged with us online, and we are so proud of you all for doing that. But we know that coming to campus, there's a couple like logistical things. Maybe if you're ordering books from the bookstore, picking those up or getting your ID card. So we're working really closely with the emergency management team on campus and our COVID crisis team as we get more parameters from the state of Michigan about social distancing and that sort of thing, to find an opportunity to offer to students who are able and interested to make a trip to campus. And so if we are able to align all these ducks in a row, it looks like you would have the opportunity to upload a photo and then pick it up with a visit to campus. Obviously, we would have some parameters in place to students who are physically unable or maybe health-wise unable to come to campus, logistically, that sort of thing, where you could have your photo uploaded, you could get a card printed, and then we could be able to get it to you via mail or that sort of thing. So I know I'm speaking very vaguely only because our goal was to get everybody oriented in this first portion where you can get registered for classes, answer all your questions. And then as we learn more about the status of what kind of just life in general is going to be like in the fall, but more importantly, how we can keep folks safe and have a chance to visit campus, you can do that. So for the 100 or so folks on the call, you're getting some like little bit of insider information, but know that those updates will be coming to all of you in multiple ways. So as you notice, we've been emailing any guest email accounts that have been signed up for orientation. We've been emailing students to your OU accounts, so make sure you're checking those. We've been sending stuff via the mail, and we've been calling you. And that kind of over communication is what we're really going to try to make sure that we don't miss anybody with any of these updates.
Next question is for Michael. How is the transition for living on campus?
I absolutely loved living on campus. For me personally, I'm one of 7 children. And so like there was no like alone time in my house. You're always by somebody. And so when I moved onto campus, I really got to grow and gain that kind of independence that you need as an adult. And so like my very first summer, I was alone on campus, not alone, but I mean, wasn't home. So I actually had to cook for myself. And so it was really just a really big learning experience. But that being said, like it's okay to call your parents and like ask for stuff. Like I called my mom so many times because I didn't know how to buy chicken at like Meijer. I just like didn't understand what made this chicken better than that chicken or something. And so it was really just a big learning experience. And it's going to take some trial and error, but it's a lot of fun.
Okay, next question for Coco. And if Coco, if you don't have experience with this, maybe somebody else can answer. I think you do, but can you describe how an online class typically works?
Yes. So with that, like it seems like it would be hard. I took some in high school and I was like, oh, I got this in the bag. But in college, it's still a little bit different because of the kind of material you'll be learning and just because it's a college level and everything. But it is it looks very similar to eSpace, and it's something called Moodle, and that's where your professors use the site and everything to upload like assignments and different things. Every professor runs it. Yes, I am unmuted. Great. Every professor runs it differently and everything. So you will have to see like their syllabus and see like what is expected of you and required of you. Some online classes are also face to face and live, so they'll be having it similarly to this format where you'll be signing in at the same time throughout the week, and so in like actually speaking and participating. Quote unquote like face to face type thing. But yeah, so it's similar as possible as it can be to in person, I would say. But yeah, so every professor is different.
I would just like to add that one tip that I learned this past semester when I took an online course was just making sure that I had specific times of the day or times of the week that I would work on it, so that I wouldn't forget about it, because it's hard to sometimes remember when you're not going to that class all the time. So like every single Thursday morning at 11 until 1 p.m., I had this break in my schedule and I would sit in the library and I would do it all by myself. Like I wouldn't sit with friends. I just had to make sure that I would get it done. I put it into my Google Calendar even as like going to class. And that really, really helped me because I knew that I was going to struggle with remembering to do some work. So just a pro tip for you.
Okay, next question. This is from Michael. Can you explain a little bit more about the Honors College? Talk about the work involved, and is it worth it to join?
For me personally, I love the Honors College. I think it's a lot of fun. It's just a great, like, small knit community to be a part of. There are a few extra things you have to do though. One of which being your first year, you have to take what's called HC 1000 or first year colloquium. And really, that's just all about kind of getting used to the Honors College, getting used to OU. So there's kind of two sections of that. There's your small group, and then there's like a big lecture. So your small group, it's like 8 to 10 people. And you really just get to know them. You guys like read some books together, talk about those. And then the lectures, they're a lot of fun. They bring in a lot of cool people. They brought in like a steel drum band when I took it, and that was a lot of fun. But then some of the other things is there's 4 semesters of a language as opposed to just one. You need about 10 service hours, whether that be volunteer, just around OU, doing stuff around campus. And then at the end of your 4 years, you're required to write a thesis. But that's about it for the Honors College.
Okay, Jill, could you talk about how to get involved in clubs and then how to balance that with your course workload?
I hit the wrong button. The way to get involved is there is a fair at the beginning of every single semester, both fall and winter. And it happens during Welcome Week or the week after, just depends on where it falls. And you're going to be able to see every single organization represented there. And then we also do have a website called GrizOrgs, which you can sign up for, like even starting today if you wanted. You could go on there and start getting information from different clubs or organizations. And you'll be able to kind of like put yourself on their list to get more information or be able to join right away. So in my first semester, I was super involved with my sorority. I was part of the American Red Cross Club, but then ended up realizing that I didn't have time to juggle it all. Took a position in my sorority, so I kind of cut back on other organizations. And it's all about finding that balance within yourself and knowing what you can and can't handle at that time. So I took a step back in certain organizations and kind of added more to my weight in others because I knew that I wanted to kind of push myself in my sorority specifically. So you'd be able to join e-boards of your different organizations, get positions, which is really cool, and make a really big impact on your campus, depending on which organizations you're a part of. We have things for everyone, whether it be your political beliefs, your religious beliefs, your ethnic background, whatever you want to be a part of, we most likely have it. And if we don't have it, then you can create your own, which is really cool. We have over 300 student organizations, and the student organizations represented by any given student shows a lot about who they are and what they stand for. And Oakland really, really emphasizes getting involved, especially for commuting students, so that we have a place on campus to call home.
Okay, this is a question for each of you, so we can just go in order that we have been, Jill, Coco, Michael. Could each of you give one tip about learning how to adapt to the college setting?
Sorry, I'm still catching my breath from that last one. I would say, first off, learning how to balance like what you can and can't handle, and especially if you come from maybe a more strict background like Coco and I, or if you came from more of a like an easygoing background. I went to private schools growing up, and so the switch to a public university was really big for me, because I was taking completely different classes. I was going from a class size of 13 to a class size of 2,000. So the change like that was really big for me, and learning how to adapt to different beliefs and different understandings has helped me grow so much as a person and help my own beliefs change as well.
That was so beautiful. But for me, for for the academic side of things, I would say that was the tip that I wanted to bring up, because that's that's a lot of what we're here for, right? It's like getting a degree, but of course, like the other growing too. That's very important. For me, like I learned that I needed to go to the library for 4 hours and shut everyone out, turn my phone off, do all of that, and get in my books and everything. And whatever works for you, like try different things. As gross as studying sounds, like honestly, finding your own style and making it fun. Like now, whenever I actually do it, I'm like, wow, like I'm getting a lot done and really proud of myself, because it's really rewarding after you get done like with a really big chunk of whatever you're doing in class for that week or so. So not only that, but like be consistent. So whatever you do find that works for you, keep doing it.
Coco mentioned this just a bit earlier, but my tip would just be stay organized. Definitely utilize like Google Calendar or a planner or whatever works best for you guys. One thing you'll notice once you start college is that there's going to be a lot of deadlines that like stack right on top of each other. And so you want to make sure you're meeting all those deadlines and really just staying on top of that. So highly recommend getting a planner or using Google Calendar or something of that sort.
Next question, I'm going to ask Coco, because I think you answered this in one of our other sessions. How far or how long is the walk across campus?
So 13 minutes, it's great. Yes. We love it for real. Like my calf muscles are on fleek, so you got this.
Thank you. Okay. Next question is about books. It's going to be a combination of a couple of people's questions. So one of the questions is, let's just go with Michael for these. Is it okay to use online textbooks? And then also, how do they know what books to order and when? And do you have any advice for getting discounts on books?
So as far as online versus physical books, it's really up to you. I'm somebody who likes something physical. I don't know why. It just helps me if I read something physical better. But one of the really, really big benefits of online books is a little feature, Control F. And if you do that, you can look up literally like a single word in a book, and it'll bring up every single instance where that word is brought up. So that makes it super, super easy to search for like a specific topic, as opposed to going to like the index or the appendix or whatever in the background and backwards searching that. And then as far as knowing what kind of books, when to order them, that sort of thing, you can, one of the easiest ways is go to MySale. And once you've registered for your classes, there's a button at the top of your classes that says buy books, and that'll basically bring up the OU bookstores website, and it's already put in all of your classes right there. And your professors, what they've done is they've already recommended books, or they usually require some books, they might recommend others, some other supplemental material, something like that. But that'll bring up all of the recommended, required, whatever it might be. And then as far as discounts go, definitely, like Jill said earlier, utilize that price matching that the OU bookstore does. But yeah, don't be afraid to do it by yourself. Like look up the textbooks, look up the ISBNs, I think they're called, or whatever the term is. Look those up and just try to find the best deal possible for you.
And if you are really, really anxious to get your books, and you want to email your professors and ask them if you really need them, or if you need an online component specifically, the online component tends, if you were to ever get a book with that, it will tend to make it a little bit more expensive, just because it's like having two books almost, or an online portion. And one time I bought my books ahead of time, showed up to my class, and my professor didn't even need that online component, and I ended up spending an extra $100. So I would just recommend waiting or contacting your professors ahead of time to make sure you actually need those books.
Okay, next question. Let's go with Coco for this one. Can you talk about all of the different uses or all the different reasons why you would use your ID card? All the different things that comes with it.
Yes. So you need it. This is a necessity. It's a completely necessary too, like to have it at times. For the on-campus students, the residents who will be on campus, you can use that you'll have something called declining points as part of your meal plan. So you can use those at any like dine-in or any food places on campus and things like that. So you can, I think, only buy like food and stuff too. But once that's gone, you can totally put more money on there if you want to. You will need that to swipe for the not regular, but the dining halls as well to get into there and get your meals there. You will need them for just about anything, like for any kind of identification, maybe for like, you might have to swipe in for any like tutoring sessions or something like that. So it's just a really handy thing. Also for the residents, you will need them to get into the buildings. Each building, residence hall and such has you swipe in for that. So I believe that's it. If anyone has anything else to add, let me know.
You mentioned just a little bit, but like the buildings, one of the nice things about the residence halls is we have something called Night Watch that opens every weekday at 8 o'clock, and I think weekends as well. But you're going to need your ID to get swiped in to the buildings, just like Coco said.
Okay, we have another Honors College question. What are the differences in classes in reference to time management and difficulty?
So for it, really the only honors courses you guys will be taking are the general education courses that the Honors College offers. And really they're not any more work than any other general education course you'd have to take. They're usually just a bit more niche, if you will. Really the professor recommends a topic and then the Honors College either chooses to do that or not. So I've taken two so far, one being coffee and conversation. It was literally all just about coffee, the history of coffee, its economic impacts around the world. And we'd even go to like some roasteries and stuff like that around the Rochester area. And the other one just being, it's called, it was Heroes, Who's Your Yoda or something like that. And it was all just about heroes and literature. And we just read a bunch of literature, or hero literature, and just talked about it. So it's really not much more work than any other class would be. And as far as the time management, once again, just make sure you're staying on top of those deadlines. Usually the Honors College professors, they're pretty laid back. But once again, just make sure you're staying on top of those deadlines.
Okay, next question for Jill. What type of fees are associated with joining a sorority?
So this is kind of a loaded question, so give me a minute. So with it, I like to relate it to if you're playing like a club sport. So at the beginning, it's going to be a little bit more expensive because you have to buy the gear, right? So you have to kind of maybe pay like a new member fee or like the joining the team fee. I played travel volleyball for a few years, so I can relate to anybody who's dealt with those fees. And then also like you'll pay per semester usually. I'm on my executive board, and so we also can make decisions to like if you're having a trouble paying, like we can work something out with you. So there's payment plans available, but the fees can run from about $800 the first semester, around $600 to $800 that first semester, and then it does like cut down to about probably anywhere from between $300 to $600 that second semester. And as you get older in the sorority, or like get a little bit longer in it, those fees do shrink because you're not paying for equipment at that point. So if you're interested about that, I can send Kylie a link for you to contact our Greek Council, and they can give you more financial information. I sadly do not know too much except for the fact of like what I've paid, and it was like right in those general things. I pay about $300 per semester though. Yeah, I hope that helped.
Okay, this is a question for all of you because I'm not sure what your experience has been like. But what is sporting event life like on campus?
All sporting events are completely free to students, which is really great. Our basketball games are my personal favorite. Our men's basketball is poppin'. It's really fun. We have a correct me if I'm wrong. It's the OU grid Grizz Gang, thank you. And you can pay to be a part of that, and you can actually go on trips to different games, like to Xavier, and different schools like that. It's really fun to participate in those games. We also have all Division I sports, so you can go to soccer. We have club football. We have club cheerleading. We have volleyball. We have tons of different sports, but I would say the basketball games are my personal favorite.
Just super quick, one way to stay on top of those is often around campus, there's a bunch of signs everywhere that basically say like basketball tonight at 7 or whatever. So just keep your eye out around campus.
Okay, next question, and you can probably all answer this. What type of laptop well, first of all, do you need a laptop for college? And then what type of laptop do you recommend?
When that works. But also we have the Student Technology Center in case you need one to rent or something like that. You can rent it out for I believe 2 weeks at a time or so. And then renew that if no one else is in line to rent one as well. And then the computer labs on campus are very adequate for you to use as well. So that's a great option. But if you can get one, totally get one.
One of the really nice things about OU is we don't require any form of laptop. That's a really important note. But for me personally, I'm an engineer, so you'd think like, oh, engineers have to have laptops because they're going to be constantly doing these sort of stuff. But one of the great things about OU is we basically provide anything you'll ever need. And so for me personally, for any of my like online labs, whether it was programming or computer-aided design or anything like that, there's always labs open somewhere on campus that have the software you need. They're usually open 24/7. So you'd find me at like 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes just plucking away at some homework. But yeah, definitely utilize those lab spaces.
Question for maybe Michael. What do you know the cafeteria or the dining hall hours?
It varies by weekday or like by weekday and weekend. And then also times of the day. So like usually breakfast, I believe, is open 7:30 to 9 o'clock, maybe something like that, 7 to 9. Lunch is usually like 11:30 to 1:30 2. And then dinner is usually 4:30 to like 7. And then on the weekends, it's usually just a bit later. So breakfast is usually open like 8 o'clock to maybe noon or something like that. And then it's just kind of foods there available for the rest of the day as well. But that it's posted outside of the cafeterias as well. So I can't like give you exact dates because I don't remember them off the top of my head. But what I found helpful is once I get to campus, I always took a picture of just those hours to make sure I wasn't going to the dining hall when it was closed.
Question for Jill. For students who will not be living on campus, do we have to pay for a parking pass, and how much is it?
It is $0 because it's completely free, and no, you don't have to pay for a parking pass. That was like the worst way to answer that. No, parking is completely free on campus for residents and commuter students. Which is really, really awesome. You don't have to pay to park anywhere except for there are like 10 meter spots randomly across campus. But I swear to you, like I've never used them, never needed to use them. They're primarily for people who have to drop something off and go. So, but you will always have free parking across campus, and there's more than enough parking on campus as well. And just make sure again, like you give yourself a couple minutes if you need it in the morning to get the last shot.
Okay, the next question. Let's see. Oh, okay. For maybe Michael and Coco, if you know the answer to this, where do you add meal points to your plan?
So we have declining points for your meal plan and such. So after you run out of that, so you have meal swipes, and then you have the declining points. With the swipes, once you're out, I believe you're out, but those are hard to get out of for sure because with each plan, I think there's 3 different options that you use throughout the semester.
Okay, looks like she might be having some internet difficulty. Yes, she is. Michael, do you have anything to add to that? Oh, is she there? Oh, Amy's there.
Yes, just wanted to add really quick that if you go to our main webpage where you got the link to join here today, you can find Chartwells has uploaded a video that's our dining folks on campus that has some information about meal plans with all their contact information. And then in July, they'll be hosting live sessions where students can ask questions as well. So you'll have a couple different opportunities to connect back with Chartwells to ask specific questions about your individual meal plans.
I do want to add that commuting students are still welcome to get meal plans. It will just be a separate fee. I have not gotten them, but I have added declining points just so that I knew I had money to eat on campus. And that was a great tip. And you don't pay tax on anything you buy with declining points.
Okay, next question for Michael. 2 questions, actually. There's a student who's a bioengineering student. They want to know if you recommend a specific type of laptop. So that's the first question. Second question, what type of things can you do to get your 10 hours of community service for the Honors College?
So just to answer the laptop question really, really quick. Like I said, no laptops required. If you want to get one, it's really up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. So if you've never used a Mac before or anything like that, I wouldn't recommend. If you're used to Windows, just stick with Windows, obviously. And then the second question about Honors College volunteer hours. Yes. So there's a ton of things you can do around campus. There's volunteer opportunities all around, really. In your first year, part of your HC 1000 class, your Honors College Colloquium class, will be like a 5 or 6 hour volunteer span. So that's one of the very quick ways to get half of those done. And then also, if you're ever looking for volunteer hours, feel free to go to the Office for Student Involvement. They've got a lot of stuff on different volunteer opportunities around campus. So definitely hit them up if you're looking for some volunteer hours.
Okay, next question. I think any of you could really answer this. Do you have any tips that help you stand out when meeting with businesses or professors at different like career fairs that we might have on campus or maybe in class? We know that networking is really important for any field. So just any tips about networking to make a connection with a professor or potential business for a job?
Whenever I've attended those, I take a rule from the Legally Blonde, How to Get a Job, when she has it on a piece of pink paper with it spritz perfume. Just kidding. But I do make sure I have a really good resume. I have spent lots of time working on my resume. I've gone to career services, and my one of my really good friends who used to work for them has overlooked mine like 10 times. So have a strong resume, and that will also help, as long as you're able to explain like everything about you in that one page. That really, really helped me. I've gotten a lot of job offers due to just my resume.
And one thing I'd say, kind of from that like professor side, is really don't be afraid to talk to your professors. Usually they're all super chill. Don't be afraid to like befriend them, if you will. A lot of times, if you really just ask like, "Hey, do you have any research opportunities around here?" A lot of them they might, and they're just looking for students that wanna be involved with that sort of thing. So don't be afraid to ask for something like that.
Definitely. And a lot of offices on campus, the people in the like waiting rooms and stuff are super friendly and nice. So always talking to them is a really actually good opportunity too, to in case you want to work there one day or something like that. But I mean, you could just walk into a random office and start speaking to everybody. That always, you never know what can happen. So it's by being friendly.
Okay, we have time for maybe 3 more questions. So I'm going to try to sift through to see maybe what we have not answered yet. The next question, let's just go with Coco for now. And anybody, if you have something to add, can you talk a little bit about campus security and campus safety?
Yes. So OU is very known for being one of the most safest campuses in the state of Michigan and known nationally as well. So that is super nice. So we do have something called Blue Poles, and I believe there's like 200 some on campus or so. I know it's about that number where you can, if you ever feel unsafe, press a button and under 30 seconds, I believe, I can't remember how many seconds, but they will come to you for whatever need. You might want to be escorted back to your room or something like that, or anything whatsoever. Feel always safe to reach out for help from the campus police and stuff. And they're not just security; they are officers who have gone through training and everything like that, like legit certified people to help you. So definitely keep that in mind.
Another question for each of you, if you've ever utilized services on campus, what does emotional and mental health support look like on campus?
I can start and then pass off to one of you. So I utilized them this past year, especially, which was really awesome. I used, so we have a lot of different services that you can use, but I specifically use the Poly Counseling Center, which is actually graduate students who are using this for their research. And so I worked with someone and she was really, really wonderful. I would like continue going to her if she was not now working in a school, which I'm bummed about. But that's me being selfish. But she was really wonderful. I met with her every single week for the entire fall semester and completely turned my life around. But then there's also Graham Counseling Center, which is part of our Graham Health Center, which is right near the School of Nursing and Health Sciences. So it's like right across from it if you need to know where it's at. And you first off can get medical attention from there. So if you're not feeling well, you can get like different medicine there. There are nurse practitioners, nurses, doctors that work out of there. And then there are also mental health services that work out of there, where we're able to get 6 free sessions with a licensed counselor there. And then it's $12 per additional session after that. I would recommend that if you're interested in being a part of any of these programs with mental health, if you're suspecting that you're going to need them at any point, make sure to get yourself registered or on a list when you start off that semester, just so that you can make sure that you're able to see some professionals when it's needed.
Yes, and to add on too, sometimes they might send you referrals, or you can ask for referrals, and they'll send you a list of people outside of the university that you can contact for further assistance as well. So that's what happened in my situation. Yes, and that worked out very great.
Okay, and the last question is actually coming from a parent. If you could go back to your freshman year and give your mom or dad or legal guardian any advice, what would you have told them to best support you throughout your freshman year? We'll go each of you if you could answer this, because I want to know.
I think I would have told my dad, I live with just my dad, that I'm okay and that it's going to be okay. And that even though my life may seem crazy and moving fast, that I still love him and still respect him a ton. And that I wish I would have spent a little bit more time with him, honestly. But at the exact same time, I'm very thankful that he let me have all of the independence that I had that first semester.
Yes, that definitely, like, I was used to having my hand held for everything, and that's great. I love that. Absolutely. For college, maybe holding my arm would be great. I don't know what step to go to from that, but just a little bit of room for me to grow, right? Like, again, as an individual and as a student, to kind of like figure things out, and like, because more than likely we will be reaching out and we will be calling you like nonstop whenever we do need anything, any help, like with the chickens or whatever it might be. And receiving that from you really helps us to develop really awesomely. I don't know how else to put it. Yeah.
I just want to start by saying this is my favorite question to answer from parent panels. But just kind of like Coco said, really don't be afraid to let us fail. Like, it's okay to fail. That's one of the best ways to learn. And so, like, really just be there for support. Like I said, I called my mom. I didn't know how to buy chicken, and I called her for a whole list of other stupid things. But like, that's just part of the learning process. So really just be there. If you want to maybe work out like a schedule with your students, so like I'd always call my mom like every Sunday night or something like that. And so really just get a weekly update. You don't want to like control their life. You know, they are their own adult. So really just let them learn and let them grow.
Okay, and then one last comment that just came in was from somebody who just wanted to say thank you to all the students about being students on the panel for being really knowledgeable. You were easy to understand when you were answering questions. So thanks again, student panel. I'm going to turn it back over to Amy.
About to get emotional. You guys can't do that with those comments at the end, Kylie. Yeah, I think, you know, the truth is that I'm thinking about somebody's, like, I got a chance to meet Coco when she came in as a freshman. I met her that summer before she started her freshman year. And baby Coco, you know, she was beautiful and wonderful, but she had a lot of room to grow. And I've had the honor now of watching over 4 years and seeing the person that she's become. She was always great, but now I think with the way that she got involved with the, you know, the trial and error and things that she learned on how to do, she would come back and be like, let me tell you this little story of something that didn't go so well. Jill in the few years, Michael, obviously he shared his like journey academically. I think that, you know, those of us as students who are listening on the panel, we're excited, we're apprehensive. I know some of you are kind of mourning maybe a little bit of what happened the end of your senior year. But I just want to reiterate to all the students that are listening and all the family members and supporters that this is going to be a little bit different of a journey, but it's still going to be a really powerful one for all of you. And we're just thrilled for you to be joining the Oakland family. There's so many folks that you're going to interact with over this summer. We have a ton of stuff coming in July and August. And really, we're just ready, welcoming you all with open arms and really trying to let you be great. And so we're so excited to answer any questions that you have. Obviously, after today, whatever questions you have, orientation emails which are answered essentially by the 5 or 6 of us that you've met today and a few other students is just gold@oakland.edu. So you can send your questions there. You can call us. You can interact on any of these other panels. Kylie, one more time, will you throw that attendance check-in just into the chat really quick for us? We're going to really make sure that we get a chance to really get a hold of who are the people that are joining us today and give folks opportunities all throughout the summer to check in with us. If you have anything additional, feel free to reach out to us. But for the rest of you, we wish you luck. We hope to continue to connect with you this summer, and we can't wait to see you in the future. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks, students. You guys are awesome.